Rachel LaBelle, and today I'm going to show you one of the people behind the scenes at Watervliet Housing Authority. They say she has a big job, but she's also lots of fun to be around.
She deals with bringing people in and giving them apartments and inspections and things like that.
Mary kind of has a lot of responsibilities that probably nobody would even be able to write down some of the things that Mary does.
Every day is different. You have a lot of problems to deal with every day. They're always different. It's never boring.
People say she keeps the place moving and works hard at what she does.
Then she also does a lot of the things on the computer. We have a system on the computer that kind of keeps track of everything, and so we'll write in everything on the computers, like our work orders and our inventory, and she'll keep track of that for the guys. And then she'll try and keep track of what the guys are doing, so that if a tenant comes in and says, "Hey, I called this in the other day," she kind of finds out why the problem is. Maybe it got misplaced, they got busy, they got something, so she'll try and find out that.
I've been working at the Housing Authority for 30 years.
She tries to keep me in a spot where she knows where I am, which half the time nobody does. So there's keeping a leash on me is sometimes probably her hardest part.
I enjoy my job.
When there's a vacancy that comes up, Mary will start looking through the waiting list to get the person in for an interview, sets up the interviews with everybody, which is sometimes very difficult, requires a lot of constant calls.
I'm Rachel LaBelle in Watervliet, Channel 17.
Take 10 seconds to imagine the face of your best friend, your coworker, your classmate, your hero, the face of a veteran, a senior on a fixed income. Now, I want you to imagine them without a home. More than 2 million people in America rely on public housing to provide a home for their families, and there are at least 500,000 waiting for a safe place to live. I'm Jewel, and I'd like you to join me and rethink how public housing is supporting your community.
We are here today at the Watervliet Arsenal, which was established in 1813 and was maintained and occupied by American soldiers. Today, there is only one uniformed soldier overlooking the operations of the arsenal, Colonel Lee Schiller. Colonel Schiller has been commander of the Watervliet Arsenal since July of 2013. He has eased into his position and has agreed to share some information about his job and his life with us today.
Hi, I am Jeffrey Claremont, and today Patrick and I are visiting the Watervliet Arsenal to interview Colonel Schiller. In July of 2013, Colonel Schiller took over command of the arsenal, replacing outgoing commander Mark Micheletti.
How have you adjusted to being the commander of the Watervliet Arsenal? Is it hard on the family to often move from place to place?
Well, Patrick, thank you for the question. I want to both welcome you to the Arsenal, and thank you for being here and taking the time to, go through these. And I want to first answer the second part of your question about moving around. It's always difficult for any family to move around. It's a major event in our lives. I have 4 children. They range in ages from 19 down to 12. 4 of them, they were born in different states. They've lived in different states. They've moved all over the United States. It's difficult. It's difficult because they develop friends, they get into sports, they're in school, and they develop relationships, and then they have to get up and move. But I think over time, as my children have grown older, they've appreciated all the moves and understood that they've grown from it and become better, and they're used to change in their lives. So in some respects, they're almost ready to move at times. And I think there's a balance between, as they get older, it gets a little tougher. But I think they've done pretty well. How have I adjusted to Watervliet Arsenal? Anytime you take command, a tremendous amount of responsibility you take on, not only for the lives of your workforce, but the mission and the requirements we have today. So I think that my whole scope has changed in becoming a commander. But the one thing I have to say, over 200 years, although maybe our products have changed and our workforce may have come and go, the mission remains the same, and I had a great transition, not only here at the Arsenal and with our mission, our requirement, and our workforce, but also in the community. It's probably the best I've had over 25 years. So in some ways, it's somewhat been an easy adjustment to the area around here and how well that people have received me and received here at the Arsenal.
The Arsenal was established in 1813 and maintained for generations by soldiers. Why is there only one Army officer assigned to the Arsenal today?
Well, you know, when we started in 1813, an original mission, we had a lot of soldiers that made the products. And over time, we've grown as a civilian workforce, and we had very few civilians back then, and now there's the majority of them. And as you mentioned, I'm the only soldier, one in uniform here. What civilians bring to us over time is they bring continuity. As you know, soldiers, as Patrick asked the question, we move quite often. And as soldiers move, you lose that continuity in your operations. Having the civilian employees here gives us that continuity and gives us a lot of stability, not only in our skill sets and our leadership. So over time, the whole arsenal has evolved into more of a stable workforce with a civilian population. And we as an Army have changed. What that lends us to do is we grow and we reduce our numbers. The civilian population allows our mission to go on, and we're not subject to the fluctuations of population in uniform. But we still maintain this as a command, a uniform command as a colonel, and it's important that we have that balance here and maintain accountability.
What was the original purpose of the arsenal, and is that purpose different today?
Well, you know, the original purpose remains the same. Now, our product lines have changed over time. We were established to support the War of 1812. We just had our 200th anniversary, and we started in 1813. So, you know, we make gun cartridges, we made leather goods, we made types of things like saddles. So the arsenal has always been here and always produced what our nation's military needs. As technologies evolved over time, warfares have evolved over time, our products have evolved over time, and you know, our requirements change as our customers bring that. So the whole purpose of the arsenal still remains the same today over 200 years. It's just the products have changed, and maybe how we put them, how we manufacture them has changed.
Why does the Army need to have an arsenal?
Well, you know, when we first started here, you know, the arsenal, there was no manufacturing capability in the United States. It was a government-owned kind of manufacturing capability. And today we still maintain that manufacturing capability that the government always has, and the military always has this capability to reach back. In a business, they exist to, you know, produce for their customer. This is a very stable place, and we never know when the next conflict may come or the next requirement may come from the military, and the arsenal's here to meet those requirements of to support our nation's warfighters and to support any conflict they might be in, and also to build products to make them safe and provide for lethality on the battlefield. So this is a mainstay in what the Army has today and will have in the future, and the arsenal has a bright future as well. You know, we celebrate the past, but it still has a bright future, and it's really a national treasure and a national asset, not only just for the Army, but for the country as well.
Could you tell us other products that you produce today in the arsenal?
Sure. You know, like I said, we started out small, and we've evolved over time as technologies evolved over time. We make a mix between two lines, product lines, okay, artillery, cannons, and then also mortars. We make 3 different sets of mortars. They go from 60 millimeter mortar to 81 to 120 millimeter mortar. We also make artillery, and we make some main guns for the Stryker and for the M1A1, and then we make different series of artillery. Okay, so our product line is very steady. We also make we used to make some things for the Navy, some guns and shore guns, and we used to make it for ships. We're looking to get back into that work, but our product line has stayed pretty steady between main guns and tubes for the Stryker and the tank, and artillery, series of artillery, and also mortar series.
Why was the arsenal established where it was?
Well, you know, if you know anything about history and a little bit across the water, you know, Uncle Sam was from Troy, and there was also you know, there's 2 reasons. Geographically, you know, right here in the river, out toward Buffalo, in the support of the War of 1812, geographically, it was a great place to make products and then ship them. You know, you had roadways, you have You have the river. You had a lot going on, the Erie Canal, a lot going on where you could move products back and forth. And also you have a lot of skill set in this area, skilled artisans from the Troy area that could come over to Watervliet Arsenal and then manufacture our product. So that was the original establishment. And the other part of it, it was very defendable, defendable against any enemy or any intrusion.
What is the value of the arsenal to the community?
Well, a lot of it starts by, you can look at it a couple ways. I start with our workforce. We have a very valuable workforce. We employ almost 600 folks here, but they're in the arsenal workforce, but there are almost 2,000 people that come through this gate every day. We train that workforce. We pay that workforce. And, this is a values-based organization. So I think it's very incumbent upon us to attribute those values back into the community. And I think that's what our workforce does. They add a lot of value, not only by themselves, but values that we carry as an Army organization into the community. Economically, we've been a mainstay. Not only we provide products for the Army, we've had contracts in the area, a lot of services that we buy from the local area. And then last is, we provide an economic benefit to our employees that over the years have raised families. They've bought houses, sent children to college, funded retirements. So it's been a real added value to the community. But I think it really starts with our workforce and the thread of people around the Watervliet area and around the Tri-County area that really have groomed solid citizens here and really have a strong purpose. And they've carried that strong purpose into their community. And I think the economics of it and everything is a secondary piece that just follows. A community, the impact on a community can't be greater than having the citizens that have worked here over the last 200 years and generations of families that have worked here that have just added to the success of the Tri-County area and the state of New York.
What is it like to have a career in the military? Would you recommend it for today's youth?
I certainly would. My son, as I mentioned before, is a ROTC student. My second oldest son's looking at the same thing. He's followed in my footsteps. Their mother was retired military, retired lieutenant colonel. So it's been very important for the Schillers and a history of my wife's side of the family and mine too to serve. And I didn't start out thinking I would be here today. And I think most of us in uniform don't picture ourselves 25 years later being at where we are today. It evolves over time. But I think inside of us we have a sense of service, and service to the nation, service to service to a purpose, and then service to our mission. So I think over time it evolves, and I think what it lends today, and I'll talk about it in a couple ways, is it's a values-based organization. I think it's important, and I think it's important for people to be involved in a values-based organization. I also think it's important for people to be a part of something that's bigger than themselves, and I think that's what the Army does. We're a profession of arms. When you say professional, you're a profession of arms, and the Army prides itself on that, of being above self. So I think if you're looking for something above self, to be greater than self, I think that any military service, whether it be Army or other services, lends itself to that. Other parts of it paid for my education. I'm not gonna tell you that there wasn't some piece in there of an incentive, and the Army is very good at educating its workforce and educating not only civilian workforce but those in uniform. So I would tell you, if anyone is interested in joining the Army, I'd certainly sit down and talk to them. I'm just a natural in what I want everybody to kind of experience in that, and kind of a self-recruiting, and I have been nothing but blessed by my career in the Army. As much as you give to the Army, it gives back to you, and I think that's what a lot of people are looking for, is something bigger than self, and be a part of something that's a values organization.
The Arsenal now rents space to other businesses. Can you tell us how they affect the Arsenal and our community?
Sure. We rent space to the Arsenal Business Technology Partnership. We have 10 commercial companies here It created well over 350 jobs. All of those businesses are connected locally to other businesses and either produce something in support of another business in the area. From an economic point of view, it certainly adds the jobs. It adds funding to the area, and it helps the economy. From just a purpose point of view, it has really blossomed to be more than we thought it would be. And it's added real diversity to the area that the area is sorely needed, and created jobs that I think have had second and third order effects, created other companies. So I think it's a real plus for us. We had the space here at the Arsenal, and I think it's a real valued use of the space. And I think it's, we've tried this in the past, other Army organizations and post had, but I think it's the right way to do it. It's a good balance between our empty space, which costs us money, and space that companies need. So I think it's really valuable that they're able to come in and do it, hire people in the local area, and produce a product that's, many of these companies that produce the products here go internationally. They're international companies, and they've really grown over time. Some of them have grown from a business plan to a full grown-up manufacturing facility over time. So I think it's been very valuable for the community and for the entrepreneurs that have started up their companies.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I certainly want to thank the both of you. Your questions were very insightful, and hopefully I've answered them, and I look forward to continue relationship, and can't wait to see you again both very soon.
We would like to thank Colonel Schiller for taking the time to share with us information about his job and his family. We wish him the best as the commander of the Watervliet Arsenal for years to come.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Colonel Lee Schiller of the Watervliet Arsenal. There's not a week that goes by that I don't watch Channel 17 and how important it is to this community, and I suggest and encourage you to do the same thing. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Anderson Cooper. As a parent, you want to make sure that your child knows how to deal with bullying when they see it happening. And chances are they want to help, but they don't really know how. I'll teach them that the best thing to do is calmly walk away, find a teacher or other adult, and speak up. And do your part. Be that adult they can talk to and trust will listen. Join me to help stop bullying. Go to stopbullying.gov to find out more.